Howdy guys, time for another video from me, and this time I'll be reviewing Flight of the Silvers by Daniel Price. I want to start off by saying that I really enjoyed reading this book. It is a whopper. I talk about it a lot, but it's as big as my head and probably not as wide, but it's massive. And I was really intimidated by it and nervous about reading it, but I'm really glad that I did. I enjoyed it and it kept me going to the end. The plot is basically you're sort of introduced to these two characters called Hannah and Amanda Given. They seem to have, they're sisters, they have a rocky relationship, that all happens very quickly, and then one day out of almost the blue, some mystical dudes turn up, slap a little bracelet on them that puts them in a protective dome, and they watch the world be destroyed. Like that wouldn't blow your mind. Yeah, they're transported to a new world, and the dome comes off and they start to explore the new world, and it's all about them discovering where they are, who they are, and why they've been chosen to go to this new world. I love the way that you were introduced to this new world alongside these characters. It was the first time that they were experiencing this new world and you were along for the ride, and because they were learning about it, you would find things out at the same time. So instead of having a whopping great chapter where you had to find out everything about this new world, it was able to happen much more slowly. They were able to be walking down the street, the character would see something, they'd be like, what's that? And you would find out. And that was really useful. And I found I was quite amazed at the end of the book about how much I knew about this world that I just absorbed in little tidbits here and there, rather than a real detailed explanation. I'm a big fan of science fiction books. One of my favourite things about science fiction books is learning about new worlds, so I know that this is the type of book that's going to appeal to me, and I think if you're similar minded then you'll enjoy that as well. I love learning about something that's similar to Earth, and there are a lot of similarities, but then some things that are completely different, and particularly enjoyed being able to do that with these characters and see their reactions to it. And because there were a range of characters, there are different reactions to it, which I felt you'd agree with some and others would have different reactions too, which was cool. It's a whopping great sci-fi adventure and I recommend it for everyone. Particularly in the first half of the book, but actually all the way through lesser so, you're kind of dipped in and out of different characters. So you're thrown into one character's head, you just start to feel like you're getting to know them, you're just feeling like you know what's going on, and then all of a sudden you're in a different character's head. And I find that quite difficult at times. I think I get absorbed in a story and I'm almost quite annoyed when I'm then taken out and put somewhere else. But it worked out okay. I think you were given long enough to get to grips with that particular scenario and to get to grips with that story arc before you went on and looked somewhere else. And obviously it's done because lots of things are happening at the same time, so it's kind of essential. At the start I found that the characters were a bit too one-dimensional for my liking. You know, it was like, hey, here's the intelligent girl who loves God. Oh, and by the way, here's the girl who's pretty stupid and has big boobs. Here's an artist who is quite grumpy, and it felt very one-dimensional. But actually, then as the book went on and you got to know the characters, there were more sides to them. Big boob girl, actually, rather than just being into all the men, you were able to get inside her head and find out why, and then, although she was still, you know, pretty stereotypical, you were able to get a bit more understanding about why and her motivations and things, which I kind of like. You get in their heads, which I think is a sign of a really good book, when you feel like you know the characters. I saw a thing on Facebook recently about the way that female characters are described in movie scripts, I think, where it would say, like, you know, a girl walks into a bar, she's beautiful but she doesn't know it, she hides herself behind glasses, and it was to highlight, I think, how Hollywood is all about looks with women and not about anything else. And I felt that this book kind of did a similar thing. The girls, it seemed to mention girls' boobs a lot. And yeah, it just felt unnecessarily focused on girls' looks. All characters were about how beautiful they were when they were female, but not necessarily when they were male. Having said that, one of the main characters, Amanda Given, I absolutely loved her. I thought that when I started off reading about her, she was kind of this annoying, God-loving bore, but then by the end of the book she'd gone through this huge transformation, and I think she's probably considered the main character, and that's probably why, but I just loved her. I love books about strong women, and I felt that, you know, she was considered to be the less beautiful one, and, you know, she had small boobs, oh, shock horror, but she was great, she kicked ass, she, you know, was making huge sacrifices emotionally and not, you know, having to let everybody know what she was doing, just doing it because it was the right thing. I just thought she was cool. All in all, I thought this book was pretty blooming good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. My main reason for not giving it 5 was that I didn't ever feel really driven to find out where the story was going. It felt a bit like, oh, I want to, yeah, I'll look and see what you're doing while you're going there, but I don't really care about what happens. And that's a shame, I think. I like to feel really interested in the storyline. I think I was more interested in the character development than I was in the overall plot. I found out afterwards, as I always seem to, that it's part of probably a trilogy, because all books seem to be, but it's certainly part of a series. I do intend to read the next book, but I must admit that if it's a similar size, it might be quite a while before I get around to it. Because I liked it, but not enough to be really motivated to read a really big book again straight away. But I'm sure I will eventually. I think you'll like this book if you're into sci-fi. If you've read it, let me know what you thought, and let me know if you're interested in this kind of story, because that would be cool. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye.